Once more, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and thank you very much for joining us in today's edition of Viewpoint on DBS Television. We are equally airing Viewpoint on Facebook beginning at 6:30 p.m. In today's edition, we are going to be talking about issues related to the film industry, or the Cameroonian movie industry, or how it functions, the challenges, or how far we have gone in consuming our own homemade product. To talk about this particular aspect or topic, we are having the filmmaker with us here in the studio, Fomban Emmanuel. He'll be accompanying us, as well as Mange Venashus. Good evening to you, Emmanuel, and thank you very much for making it tonight.
Greetings to you, Vanessa. Greetings, Venashus. It's a pleasure to be here for the first time. I'm very honored to have you invite me.
We are honored to have you as well to talk about the movie industry in Cameroon. It's very important. Mange Venashus, you're welcome.
Good evening, Vanessa. Good evening to our viewers, and good evening to Mr. Fomban Emmanuel. You know, like he said, for the first time being part of Viewpoint, we believe that we'll have him as often as he is available.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Viewpoint is a debate program divided into two parts. The first part has to do with the questions, and the second part has to do with the debates. Let us take the first part. Once more, you are all welcome back. In the first question, do Cameroonians sufficiently consume homemade movies? Emmanuel, your observation? Yes,
I don't think so. They don't.
No. Mange Venashus?
No, Vanessa, they don't.
No. And the movie industry in Cameroon facing many challenges? Mange Venashus?
Yes, Vanessa. So many challenges, of course.
Yes. And Emmanuel, do you think the same way?
They do.
They do. So many challenges. Let us take a debate. Though Cameroonians sufficiently consume homemade movies, while the two guests or the two panels are of the opinion that they do not consume homemade movies. Fomba Valentin, what actually could be the reason why Cameroonians do not consume their own product, as far as the movie industry is concerned?
All right, Vanessa, I'm happy to come back to this question again, because we've been talking about it in different platforms. And when you look at it, I think that the government, this is one area where the government has still been failing a lot, because there is the Cameroon film industry started much later than other film industries, like the Nigerian film industry, the American film industry, the Indian film industry, that already had their content in Cameroon before Cameroonians started the aspect of producing films. So at the point they started, it was incumbent on the government to actually make sure that they promote these local films within the population, so that the population could actually get used to with the locally made films. But this has not been the case. We see the government still not controlling the kind of maybe channels that broadcast foreign movies, and we see even the government not able to control the local stations that should that broadcast maybe films. You get the good number of TV stations that spend too much time downloading foreign films to broadcast, and there are local filmmakers who produce content, and there is nobody to view it. So this is one of the things that I really think that is a major cause for Cameroonians not consuming. I am not blaming too much, or I'm not putting a heavy blame on the population, because unfortunately they have not been given, they don't have sufficient platforms where they can be able to have this content available for them to view. They don't have this, and the government is the one who can really make this very possible, and unfortunately the government is not doing so. So this is the major reason, in my opinion. In your opinion, why Cameroonians do not consume homemade movies? But then you talked of government unable to control
home channels that do broadcast foreign movies. Don't you think that it's as a result of the fact that because the Cameroon movie industry in Cameroon is developing, it is practically now that they do have or produce movies that are competitive with that of other African countries or that of other European countries. So given the fact that they were not producing the content required by the population, was it not enough for these TV stations to broadcast foreign movies?
No, I don't think it's actually the case, because even before I integrated myself into the film industry, I think if you had been visiting from 2008, going maybe coming up to lately, we've been having Cameroonian films go to international festivals and bringing awards So we cannot talk of the issue of quality, because the good films have always been there. And most of the times, these good films, to do a good films, actually it takes a lot of investment. And most of the times, when people who take time to invest in these good films, when they don't see good platforms to put their films in, they don't risk. So you don't expect certainly a filmmaker to take huge sums of money, produce a film and go put in YouTube because they want Cameroonians to see it. It's business on their part, and we should be able to respect that. So when it comes to the issue of quality, it's not a question.
It's not a question.
It's not a question, because the quality has always been
the
there.
question of affordability, is it not also to be questioned?
It is now the government to make this question of affordability because there is actually the government is able, they have sufficient resources to actually support this industry to grow. We have to know that the main broadcasting house that is owned by the government, they actually, there is a tax that everybody, every Cameroonian, even you included, that we pay to this, we pay to this media, and this it is the Cameroonians, they deserve actually to benefit from the opportunities that they use this budget to provide. So it is very funny when we go out, when we actually go to foreign countries to buy content from there, when we have the local content that we could be making, using, actually buying. So the issue of cost, I don't think is really, it has been heavy on filmmakers. The films, they have been very affordable, and what has been happening is just a lack of good faith to actually push this content to another level.
Content on industry forwards. Thank you very much for that insight, Emmanuel. Mangavina shows your point of view on this. You think that Cameroonians do not equally sufficiently consume homemade movies, and what actually are your reasons?
Vanessa, when you look at the movie landscape in Cameroon, like Mr. Fonban said, you see that we were first introduced to foreign movies, and this concept of what is foreign in our country with us, perhaps I want to say Cameroonian, we have this impression that what is foreign is what is good. If you look at it, it's not only in the movie industry, in the cinematographic world, even in our culture, even in our religion, you see that most of these are being, affected by the influence of foreign movies, foreign cultures. Vanessa, when I see people getting wedding today, they get wedding in the Nigerian kind of style because that's what they see. Come to talk about people praying. If you don't pray now like they do pray in Nigeria, maybe you are no more praying. If you don't dress like they do dress and pray, storming the sky, maybe wearing your attire with a kind of very flashy head, maybe you are not a Christian woman, maybe. And all these are imported cultures that we have them through foreign movies. That is why when you see people getting wedding today, you see them in the kind of attire that you ask them, which culture is this? They don't even know. Because they see it, they see people doing it in Nigerian movies, that's why they think that that is what is being done. It is the same thing when it comes to consuming locally made movies in Cameroon. It is not because we do not produce in Cameroon. We have a proof. This is a filmmaker with us, and they know what they have been doing. And like he said, most Cameroonians movies, once they go out of Cameroon, perhaps out of Africa, you see them You know, they are able to withstand the international standards, and that is why they come back with trophies, with awards, like he's saying. But then back home, the discouragement is equally comes from the government. Vanessa, I remember some time ago here, the former Minister of Arts and Culture in Cameroon closed the cinema halls that existed in Cameroon, in Douala, in Yaoundé. I remember when we were young, it was this fantasy. You used to come to, I don't know if I can call the names here, you used to come to a cinema hall.
They used to open a little parlors where you pay 200 francs to watch a movie.
All right. Those were video clubs, you know, and we used to go there and pay and watch just a video, a movie, and then you come back. And then there were some, you know, conventional cinema halls that existed in Douala here, that existed in Bafoussam, that existed in Douala. At one point, they were all closed down. Closing them down, what do we mean? When you close them, you are killing, you know, that culture in Cameroonians that they can watch these movies. Where do you expect those to project these movies in order to promote them? We don't have them. We can also talk about the heavy influence, like I said, of these foreign movies. We have some, you know, television channels that are consecrated on, you know, broadcasting these foreign movies. And it is like, in every household, if you don't have this television channel, maybe, perhaps for us Anglophones, we know them, the names. So everybody wants to have it in their house. And what do they want? We want to watch Nigeria film. Watching Nigeria film does not mean that they are doing something extra that we are not doing here. It is the way they present it. You know what matters is not the product that you have. It is the kind of, you know, marketing strategy that you give to your product. That is the reason why we don't have it in Cameroon. That is why locally made movies, they have a low, call it, audience. Vanessa, if I take another one, Mr. Fonba was talking about the cost of producing one. We know that to produce a movie, it is extremely expensive. And once a movie is produced as such, the cost too matters. Now that everybody has it, on cell phones, you can just go to YouTube and you have all forms of you know, African movies that you want. Many people tend not to, you know, when you talk of buying a movie in Cameroon, it sounds absurd, because somebody knows that if I have a cable television in my house, I have movies 24 on 24.
Now, even actually, does that not lead us back to the point where Emmanuel was saying that actually they pay a certain amount of money for these movies to be actually aired on some TV stations?
That is what I mean by the marketing.
They do not do it. They rather broadcast foreign movies.
That is what I mean by marketing strategy that kills that you know, that eagerness in Cameroonians. If we had that strategy in Cameroon, maybe we would be watching. We are not saying that all is...
Because when it comes to movie premiere, you will see a lot of Cameroonians going for the premiere of the movie just to watch part of it. But when you turn to look at the outcome after that event, what next?
Vanessa, that is where the whole thing lies. If after that, you know, that premiere that was supposed to take place, perhaps in Douala takes place in Yaoundé, it may take place in Bafoussam. If you go with it to Bamenda, where are you going to air it? If you go with it to my native village, go with it to Jakiri, go with it to Kumbo, where will you air it? Because we don't have the facility in which we could, you know, promote that. If we had it, because when we used to have this cinema halls that were there, every weekend people would take their families, they go they go and watch a movie. When they are watching a movie, they pay. There is a cost that you pay. You, by so doing, the film industry is able to, you know, break even. But when we have it, just that the launching of that film, after that it dies down. Because where are we going to project it? How many occasions do we have that we can do the projecting? It is the marketing strategy that I'm saying that it is lacking in our context here. I want to take, for example, look at the national broadcaster that we have in Cameroon. Somebody was saying that every Cameroonian pays a bill for the running of that national broadcasting house in Cameroon. But which movies do they air? How many Cameroonian movies do they air? You can just, it's just of recent that we may have 2 or 3 that are running there, but then you have Brazilian movies that are running there practically the whole week, from Monday to Friday. And with that, you see, with these novelas TVs, you find that everybody is hooked to it, watching what is foreign, whereas they would have been promoting, you know, locally made movies. Vanessa, I remember, that's why I said there is this, you know, no encouraging policies from the government. I remember there is one African country that you are not allowed just to play you call it music from foreign countries.
We are talking of Nigeria.
Correct. So what can we not do like that in Cameroon? Can we not say that you are not allowed all this? What caused the government to impose on all TV channels like DBS that you must air locally made movies,
songs or whatever,
and you program it from Monday to Friday? In that case, we tend to, you know, promote the home industry. But then what do we air? We air foreign Brazilian, foreign movies, promoting what is not us, allowing us that may have a superior quality, that may have a superior standard more than most of these foreign movies, Vanessa.
All right, thank you very much. Also, Manke Venashus. In the second question, movie industry in Cameroon facing many challenges, and Emmanuel, you think that yes, it is facing many challenges. In your shoes, I may understand the cost of production, everything it takes. As a film maker or a film producer, you are better placed to tell us these challenges.
Yeah, we just started highlighting some of these challenges. I think that a good number of these the challenges that we have here, they are challenges that have to do with that's the cost of production, which is never subsidized, maybe from the government. That's the government has no way, that they don't have a medium that they use to encourage filmmakers. We also have the greatest challenge, which is a market. But I think market is even one of the challenges that outsmart all others, because the filmmakers on their part, they have been doing their best to actually sacrifice their sweat, sacrifice their whatsoever they have worked for so many years on films. There are people who have been able to invest for as much as 3 million francs, and you know, in Cameroon here, to be able to work and save 3 million francs, especially for for people who have low income, you know how much time it can take. There are people who have been able to invest in productions that are above 5 million francs, and just imagine when you do this, and there's a market potential which you cannot exploit because of maybe of the lack of a platform. Yes, because the government, even we're talking of all of this, the infrastructure is not even there. When you go to other countries, you go to the neighboring Nigeria here, you're going to discover a good number of cinema houses. But we don't have these cinema houses here. When you go to Yaoundé, you are going to see one small Tatat house called the Cameroon Cultural Center, which is an insult, because when you look at the French Cultural Center in Cameroon, which is just one of their small, it's better than the Cameroon Cultural Center. So these are all infrastructures that the government needs to consider to show its readiness, because if the infrastructure is already there, definitely they will want to push a means of these infrastructures being exploited, and the filmmakers will definitely benefit from it. But if the infrastructure is not there, then there's no good faith. Yes, you get there's just so much that the government could do, but I think that they don't just want anything to be done. I think that they are happy to see filmmakers suffer the way they've been suffering, because there is we were talking last time about this recently voted law, or this recently enacted law on to restructure the artistic and cultural sector. And the filmmakers have been lamenting on this law, because we still feel that it serves no purpose. What the government would have been working on doing now, if they really dare to push the film industry, was actually seeing a means by which they could control content that is broadcast on local TV stations, to make sure that we copy, maybe we learn from others. It is very normal to say you have a kind of 95% to 95% local content, and if you want to air foreign content, is 5%. It's very easy to do this kind of policy, because if it's done, the local TV stations they'll be encouraged. It is very easy to tell companies that like the companies, the major companies in Cameroon here that we know, especially multinational companies, it is very easy to tell them that if you maybe invest, or if you promote local films, we are going to make some kind of tax deductions from their taxes and all of that. These are all incentives that encourage companies to think of doing things like this. And this is what happens in other countries. But unfortunately, we are not really thinking on this. Instead, when I have to produce a film, I have to go pay a shooting permit. After paying a shooting permit and all of that, I am instead giving money to it. It means the government is looking at the way of exploiting from me rather than actually promoting me. But at the end of the day, when I produce this film and I'm doing maybe a premiere in Yaoundé, when I send an invitation to a Ministry of Art and Culture who is supposed to be there, the first person, he doesn't come. So this is what we are facing. So the whole lot of challenges, and I think that the biggest challenge, like we are talking about, is that the government doesn't have any agenda to put this. They may have tomorrow, but as of now, so far, they have not had anything.
Mangavinashus.
Vanessa, Mr. Von Ban spoke about the availability of, the strategy, to promote this industry. But if you look at it, like he said, the cost is very enormous. The logistics, you see that the film industry, the logistic it takes, because if you have to do a shooting, you need to move the staff. You need to move all the artists, all the actors that are concerned, actresses, you move them to the location. You need to do all these cameras. And it is not just, we have passed the age where you could just shoot now with any kind of cameras. We need to have standard cameras. We need to have standard sound systems. We need to have, when you put this together, you see that with what we have from foreign countries, where their film industry has developed and has imposed that standard on us, you see that we are lacking. The challenge of logistics, we don't have it. The challenge of qualified staff. It is when you get people like Mr. Von Ban who are already investing into the film industry, like filmmakers, you see them call them strange. In other countries, this is a whole profession that people specialize into it. People are trained for it. But here, it is just enough if you have an idea of how to do about a bit of video editing, a bit of audio editing. You think that you are a filmmaker and you launch into the project. That is why we will not refuse the fact that there are some whose quality, if we had to, because we were supposed to control, the government was supposed to control the quality of films that comes into the market. In that way, we are sure, because when you see what comes from other countries, the effect that go with it, you see the kind of, logistics that are involved, you see that we may still be a bit far. And that is why when you sit and you are watching locally made industry, made film, and then the foreign made film, you just have the distinction is clear. Maybe because I know Mr. Von Ban, I know this actor that I'm seeing, and I think that what he will be doing, there are Nigerian films that once you watch them, you may have the impression that this is a reality. You may have the impression that this is something, somebody is falling, somebody is flying. These are techniques that needs qualified, training to do that. I'm not saying that we cannot do it in Cameroon, but how many people invest into, having that necessary training?
All right.
Because when I talk about...
Emmanuel, you want to add something?
Yes, I think I would like to react to what Venantius is saying, because there's actually, I think that the government is carrying a big shame, and this is why they cannot sanction the people who are doing the mess up thing in the name of cinema. Because they don't promote the good one, so definitely they can't sanction the bad thing. So if you are sanctioning, people can, you're sanctioning when doing the good thing means investment. Yes, you before you go do a good film, I tell you, as a filmmaker, there's no film that we have done with less than 2.5 million. Yeah, and the film we did with 2.5 million it was a short film. Yeah, the Afrocons that we did, I think 2019, that was produced by this lady in Germany, was done with about 5 million francs. And this was the cash we spent. If we had to pay for all the facilities we used, then it would have been going to something, maybe 7 million francs. So when you do this kind of investments and all of that, what follows it? Yeah, the government is the one, because we are all doing these things. It's actually, we know that somehow there is a kind of passion in it, but the government needs to understand that we are playing a role in promoting the culture, because there's some time that we met with the officials of the Ministry of Arts and Culture, and I was saying something. I said, if the government is not ready to do what is needed to actually promote this artistic and cultural sector and actually close doors to foreign content coming in, then in a very short time we are going to have Cameroon live from a country which received this song of Cameroon it has a diversity of culture, to a country with even no culture. Yes, because almost everything that we do now, it's a reflection of what is happening in another world. There is, you hardly see something really original in Cameroon.
And we know that through the movie sector, we transmit our culture from one generation to the other, and it stays for long. And
it passes in a very fast way. I remember when I was growing up, I started having this kind of impression like America was the strongest country in the world, or America had this kind of very beautiful and ingenious people. It was from these action films that they used to send. It means that the film actually, it has a message that it sends and all of that. When we look at maybe people who say maybe people who say America has a beautiful cities and all of those things, they are things that are transmitted only through film. And countries like the USA, countries like a good number of countries, they have known that they can actually use films to manipulate people's brains. And this is what we don't know. Yes, what we don't know. Like, I know it will hold same for you, that maybe when you are growing, even now you feel that there's no crime that you can commit in America and go scot-free, because they have these powerful investigators who are always there to at least to sit somewhere and monitor you, even when you're using the satellite and all of that. These are all impressions given to us through their films that they do and all of this, and we are not making use of films to promote. So the government is doing almost zero to promote our cultures.
Thank you very much, Fomban Emmanuel, a filmmaker. Thank you very much for coming.
It was a pleasure.
And I will actually celebrate you like so many other film producers out there that are trying their best or their latest to make sure that we have the best qualities of movies in Cameroon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Like a movie producer in Yaoundé during the recent Ekrangwa said, they are pleading or they are hoping that government will create cinema halls in every municipality in Cameroon. I join my voices with theirs to actually extend this recommendation to the Ministry of Arts and Culture. That said, thank you very much for watching. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.